Hello everyone, my name is Hangfei from Hangfei University in Korea, and my advisor is Professor Simon Song. So in this presentation, I will talk about toward reducing flow-induced noise in a tumble dryer, insights from MRV-based TKE analysis. Okay, first, I will give you a brief introduction to MRV. MRV is a flow visualization technique that uses a conventional MRI scanner. It measures in 3D region, and it's a non-invasive technology that doesn't require tracing particles. And because MRV uses the magnetic field signals for measurement, it's suitable for complex and opaque flow environment. And MRV can measure a wide range of characteristics, including the velocity, TKE, temperature, and two-phase flow. And it was primarily used in the medical field, such as the blood flow in the heart and arteries. And currently, it is also widely used in various engineering flow fields, such as the flow inside the refrigerator and the compressor. Okay. The objective is to reduce flow-induced noise in tumble dryer machine room through MRV-based TKE analysis. First, we aim to measure and analyze the characteristics of the 3D 3C mean velocity and TKE in a 3D printed model of a tumble dryer. And we aim to propose an improved model with more uniform flow distribution and lower TKE. And finally, we aim to measure and compare sound and vibration levels of the two models, and to quantify the noise and vibration reduction achieved through the structural modifications. The equation on the left shows that the acoustic source term includes the second derivatives of the Reynolds stress. So the qualitatively TKE becomes smaller, the Reynolds stress and their gradients inevitably become smaller. Therefore, the acoustic source is expected to decrease. The figure on the right supports this, showing a strong trend between the TKE and the acoustic levels. So based on this, our study is to measure and compare TKE values to reduce the flow-induced noise. And we also evaluate the acoustic source contribution from the normal stress, the SRNs. To perform the MRV measurements, we measure the airflow rate and apply the dynamic similarity from air to water. And we used the 0.4 scaled model and conducted the experiment at the target Reynolds number of 19,800 based on the fan inlet. So let's see how we built the MRV text section. The model was developed based on the tumble dryer CAD model provided by the LG Electronics. So we preserved the internal flow structures while modifying the external features such as the wall thickness and added the flange structures to make it suitable for MRV flow experiments. So the flow enters through the inlet part and turned by the gathering part, passes through the evaporator and condenser, and finally exits through the contraction. The right figure shows the SLA 3D printed MRV machine room model. And next, I will briefly explain our experimental setup. The MRV experiments were conducted using a 3D human MRI at Korea Basic Science Institute. So as you can see in this figure, we have a closed loop circuit that includes a pump, an electromagnetic flow meter, a refrigerator and heating circulator, and flow control and data acquisition instruments. A Cooper sulfate aqueous solution was used to enhance signal-to-noise ratio and reduce noise. And regarding the scan parameters, we set the isotropic spatial resolution to 0.5 millimeters for the velocity scan and 1 millimeter for the TKE scan. And next, I will show you the flow visualization results. First, I will show you the 3D streamlines of the reference model. So as we can see, the flow at inlet is very complex, featuring a large-scale secondary flow right here. So to address this, we reshape the inlet duct. removing the parts that cause second flows and making the whole path smoother. And next, the flow becomes much more uniform as it passes through the evaporator. However, at the mid-zone between the evaporator and condenser, we can still observe recirculations both on the sides and above. Therefore, we filled the space between the two pillars and added a fifth-order polynomial guide plane to smooth out the flow. And finally, in the outlet zone, we observed that the protruding space above the condenser causing a flow disturbance. Therefore, this protruding space was filled. So in summary, first, a fifth-order polynomial guide plane was added under the base cover, and second, the protruding space in the outlet zone was filled, and third, the inlet duct was reshaped, and finally, the space between the two pillars was filled. So next, let's see the results of these structural modifications. So here are the 3D streamlines of the improved model. So as you can see, the overall flow is much more orderly. And the large-scale secondary flow at the inlet of reference model has been greatly reduced. And the recirculation between the two pillars has disappeared. And from the side view, it is clear that the flow smoothly follows the fifth-order polynomial guide plane. And finally, at the outlet, the flow access much more smoothly without the previous flow disturbances. So to quantify the TKE reduction, we compare the TKE isosurface and zone-by-zone average TKE between the two models. So we can observe that in the filter band inlet mid and outlet zones, where structural modifications were applied, the significant reductions of over 20% were achieved. This demonstrates that the improved model successfully suppressed the turbulence. So to see how our flow improvements affected the acoustics, we then conducted a vibration and noise experiment. And for the noise measurement, we set up a microphone outside the model to capture the sound radiated from the internal flow. And for the vibration measurements, we installed 4 accelerometers directly at the locations of our structural modifications. And our signals were transmitted to a data acquisition system connected to a computer for recording and analysis. So this slide shows the vibration measurement results and the correlation between with the SRNS distribution. So first we can see that the dominant vibration peaks were identified at 125 and 250 Hz across all accelerometer locations. And for accelerometer 1 and 2, the SRNS distribution is reduced. This corresponds to the reduction in vibration levels, and notably at position 3, the high SRNS distribution caused by the large-scale secondary flow was significantly suppressed. So consequently, we see a dramatic reduction in vibration, especially at the peak values. And interestingly, near accelerometer 4, the SRNS distribution shows a local increase in the input model. So this also aligns with the vibration level, which show a slight increase. But overall, the input model shows the general trend of reduced vibration levels, confirming the effectiveness of our MRV-based design. And finally, let's see the noise measurement results using a 1/3 octave band spectrum. The results show a significant noise reduction in the low frequency range. However, we can also observe a local increase. But despite this, we confirm that within the audible frequency range, the overall sound pressure level decreased by 3.2 decibels. So given that the decibel scale is logarithmic, this represents a significant improvement. So by lowering the TKE through MRV-based analysis, we achieved a 3.2 decibel noise reduction in the into the model. However, the noise reduction in the actual dryer may differ due to factors like acoustic impedance and materials. Therefore, the verification on the actual dryer is needed. And since TKE is the primary source of flow-induced noise, with reducing TKE is expected to result in flow noise reduction in the real model as well. So the MRV-based TKE analysis provides an effective pathway for reducing flow-induced noise. So there are conclusions of my study. Thank you for your attention.